What is going on, YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the second EP by scene rock group sensation Never Shout Never. Basically, this project came out in the summer of 2008, and it's called the Yippee EP. So Never Shout Never kind of blew up pretty largely in 2008. They started about 2007 or so. They blew up on MySpace, were kind of like an internet sensation. They wound up getting on Total Request Live in 2008, just based upon the popularity of a couple songs or a few songs that they dropped on MySpace and such. And this particular project wound up selling 50,000 copies, which is about a tenth of going gold. And I looked on Amazon to see the audio CD version of this particular project, and they were trying to sell it for $100. So for a project that only has 4 songs, that's pretty good just to be able to say that. But Never Shout Never is definitely a hot ticket for Hot Topic and that type stuff. And I just wanted to see about it just because I wanted to review some more scene type music. I've been reviewing punk and emo type stuff. I wanted to get to some of this just because I don't actually know that much about them. And I wanted to see what it's about. So this is basically an acoustic project through and through. It just really reminds me of like some summer haze and just overall kind of distorted, hazy kind of summer energy. It's really, I mean, some of it's pep, some of it's trying. I mean, you can tell by the album cover that it has like a very glossy and just upbeat kind of feel towards it. But I definitely see this as just like Daisy kind of late July, late August, early September kind of hazy summer days, and just how that kind of concept kind of works. It's interesting just because most emo bands were not really doing just like strictly acoustic. You might get like the occasional one that would be like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock p.m. type makeshift and that type stuff. This for something that's just after work. But this whole project just takes that theme. It's really brief. I would have liked actually like another song or two on here. I know it's supposed to be an EP, but I definitely would have liked to have seen some other things that they could have done with it. Is because with 4 compact songs, this is a decent project. I like 3/4 of it, but just to be able to say, I wonder how this would have been more spread out, and I wonder some more of the songs that were on their MySpace back in the day to be able to check out as far as what could have been seen. But basically, I'll go ahead and dissect that a little bit more as we get to the songs. But the first single was Big City Dreams, and this was one that actually did chart on. Yeah, this is one that did chart on like the hot singles sales chart. So I think a lot of folks probably bought this single back in the day. So I just would have to say, to me, this is a song that's just a mellow punk acoustic cut. And, the whole project's acoustic, but this is just very mellow punk. It feels like a lazy summer haze kind of day, just a regular day, but just in kind of some lazy summer haze. This is a song that talks about moving out of the small city and going and chasing your dreams and getting to a bigger city and moving on up and that type of stuff. I do like the emphasis of just kind of getting a little bit of a traverse. I mean, in some cases, I think it could be seen as just, pure. I feel like this song can kind of, in a sense, be just like some huff and puff kind of energy where you say you're going to do things and you're just biting off more you can chew and that type of stuff. But I do kind of see it as like a nice malaise kind of summer tune, just about talking and that sort of thing. It's a typical kind of pedestrian kind of tune for that sort of concept. Definitely has this overall good malaise kind of energy. It is punk. You can definitely tell by the chorus that it has like the same kind of vibes as like Good Charlotte, Blink 182, some of those type groups, like, Fountains of Wayne, some of those type ones. There's other ones I can't think of right now, but just some ones like that. I just would have to say it's very punk induced, just in an acoustic sense. I definitely like this single. I definitely feel like connected pretty well. This happened to be like a real good jolt of summer energy that just has like a balance of whether or not it just depends upon how you gauge it as far as how determined you are in agreeing with the song. If you're actually trying to set forth and get some goals accomplished, that's one thing. But if you're just kind of like, if you're just kind of more in a mood like, I'm sick of Burger King today, like I'm sick of Wendy's, that type of stuff. And you're just like, I'm going to kind of move on up a little bit. It just depends upon how you gauge it. But either way, it's a good song for just kind of having like a decent degree of ambition. I feel like Here Goes Nothing is another good song. So I'm just going to talk about the 3 songs out of 4 I recommend. So the only song I don't recommend is just Smell You Later, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the other 2 songs I recommend, apart from Big City Dreams, would be Here Goes Nothing and Dare for Distance. So Here Goes Nothing is like a really nice evening pep kind of tune. This has like some real kind of stepping out kind of energy, definitely getting ready to step out, go have a good time. It's just also some good hangout haze. I feel like if you've got some folks, if you've got like a girl coming by, something like that, and it's just kind of that energy of just kind of hangout session where it's not quite dance mode, crazy kind of rave mode, get drunk kind of mode, but just kind of hangout session, or it's just kind of evening outdoor hangout session, hang out in your backyard, front yard, something like that. Have a couple drinks, have like a Coke, Pepsi, something in that sense. This has that kind of good evening pep kind of energy. I just like the concept of some of these. It's just interesting kind of getting, especially from like an acoustic sense. It just has such a hazy kind of draw towards it. It's just very sprawling. Like it feels like it'd be something that you'd play at like 6 o'clock, 5:30 p.m., something like that as the sun's starting to set. It's a good sense of how that kind of goes. And then Dare for Distance is another one. This is about a long distance relationship and that sort of thing. It's just a nice malaise kind of tied up song. Definitely like the concept of that one. It's just a very nice casual summer tune. This one kind of switches in the verses where the first verse is a lot more just kind of like down tempo and just kind of hazy kind of acoustic on there. And then the second one has a little bit more pep. The second verse has a little bit more pep towards it, where it's a little bit spruced up a bit. But I feel like Dare for Distance is just an overall nice, casual summer tune. Just kind of has that relatively solid energy just about summer days and just the concept of just going out throughout the heat and the malaise of that type of stuff. Just a good June, July, August kind of day as far as that kind of goes. I feel like in ranking some of these songs, I would say Big City Dreams is the one with like the most kind of, yeah, I would say Big City Dreams is basically like the daytime, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just that kind of pep that it has just in a summer sense, kind of lazy day. And then I feel like Here Goes Nothing has a little bit further pep, or it's more evening induced, where this is the closest one to like a party tune, like a house party and just stepping out, kind of having some good times kind of tune. Then Dare for Distance is just kind of the malaise kind of like drags and drags at you and kind of tugs at you kind of song. This the kind of woes and this kind of malaise of just like day to day type stuff. So it's just interesting kind of get those. Very brief project. I feel like this is difficult to kind of build upon as far as establishing like some sort of foundation as far as talking about like impactfulness. It's just really just three good songs as opposed to like an excellent body of work, which I would have liked a little bit more from. I mean, I do feel like it is an EP, so that's definitely saying something, but the concept, maybe it should have been 5 songs or even 6, something like that, or even 7. I would have said it would have been interesting because I know these guys probably had like dozens of songs on MySpace or something like that, so it would have been interesting to kind of see how that works. But to talk about Smell You Later, this one was kind of like a down tempo song at the beginning, but then it kind of turned into a peppy song at the end. I just didn't like the switch up as to how that kind of happened. I think it should have stuck with one or the other. I mean, Dare for Distance kind of did that, but it did it in like a better sense of just kind of where it was just the malaise behind that one just had a little bit more impact, where it just kind of went through like the hazes of the day more so than just kind of switching up the complete mood. It was just like a rather different kind of mood switch on Smell You Later. So this would have to say that's the only real one I didn't connect with. So to rank this, so to go ahead and score this project, me liking 3 songs out of 4, I'm going to give this project like a 7.5 out of 10. I feel like it's pretty solid. Definitely like what I saw here. It's just a good burst of like some originality, just because this is kind of acoustic punk, kind of acoustic scene music that's just original in the sense that for the most part, it just seems like this guy just has like an acoustic guitar, had some singing lessons, and just managed to throw together a project pretty much on his own and just do it. And it's pretty clever in that sense to be able to get it, especially from like a punk and kind of more scene type image. But I just look after it. Pretty much one of the biggest complaints I have about this project is just the fact that it needed a few more like songs on here to really anchor this project so we could have seen more just from what it happens. Now I know that this group wound up getting larger and it did have further things, but just kind of they did do EPs for a while, and it just the brief taste that you get of this group was just very trite compared to like how like it probably I don't know. I just think that 3 or 4 songs is just relatively like nothing more than like a snippet or a tidbit or something like that. But for what it is, that's I mean, for just the average folk that were just excited for them and just being able to say that, yes, this was a highlight is one thing, but you can't really, there's just not enough to digest to really discern to be able to say that this would be like a classic kind of project. I mean, I think it's good, but, you know, just that's kind of the thing. So it's just more the complaint of it just not having enough track material and that type of stuff. Because I did like Big City Dreams, I did like Here Goes Nothing, I did like Dare for Distance, but I would have wondered if there would have been a fifth, sixth, and seventh song. What if I would have liked some of those? Because I just question it's just liking three, four, 75% of the project is good to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. But I just wonder what would have happened. So that's this kind of thing. The social score though, I will give like a 6 out of 10, just because I feel like these songs do have like an acoustic malaise about them, and they are nice kind of emo bops and that sort of thing. But kind of the thing about it is there's not really like a nightclub kind of song or a stepping out kind of party type tune. Most of these are just kind of more oriented towards, I would almost just say, having like a relationship in mind for the most part. I mean, minus Big City Dreams, that's like the only real song that doesn't have some relationship type orientation in mind. So this is kind of the concept where it just doesn't doesn't have much in the variety of having like some peppy kind of tunes about going out and having a beer and just going out to a dance club and driving around, cruising around, getting some food, that type of stuff as far as that kind of goes. But it is interesting enough with most, for the most part, the pep of just being able to say that I like the idea of giving them the benefit of the doubt that if there had been more songs, I probably would have liked them, but I just don't know and probably won't know because there's this was only ever 4 songs on this project. But that's just kind of the thing. 7.5, 6 social. And in terms of the future, apparently Never Shout Never had gone back and forth between retirement and such. I would like for them to continue doing stuff just so I can see about them a little bit more. I know they have quite a bit out. We'll have to get to some more of these, but we'll just have to see about it. And I wonder, we'll have to see some more about it. I'll probably review some more of their EPs, but for now, this is a pretty, decent little snippet of some music, but it did leave me hungry.